Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, a hearty good morning on this Football Friday, man. We got news, we got topics, we got all kinds of stuff going on. We got great guests for you, as usual, coming up. And we're going to get the Philly side of things from our good friend John Kincade from the Fan in Philly at 10:30. TJ Pittinger is going to join us at 11:30 to talk about the FSU stuff going on. He's got some information on the NCAA sanctions. The Bolts get a big overtime win last night. I was there for that. That was super fun. And lots more to get into here as we get you started here on the JP Peterson Show. I'll say good morning to you, to Tim Hem, our DSP affiliate in Dallas, freezing his ass off as he loves to do.
Good morning, Tampa. Good morning, JP. So I don't know if you guys down in Tampa are familiar with these things called cold fronts.
Yes. But they usually stop and then pour rain on us is what they do.
So our temperature here, it was 61 last night about 8 o'clock. I was outside with the dog, just I was like, man, this is nice. Might get the motorcycle out and go for a little nighttime ride, If I felt better, I would have. Dude, by midnight, it was 32.
32?
We had thunderstorms right now. JP, as I'm looking at my weather on my desktop here, it is 27 degrees.
Jesus.
With a wind chill of 14. As we have 22-mile-an-hour winds out of it.
Bet your window's not open today.
It's about that much.
You guys got a playoff game this weekend as well, right?
Yeah, that's indoors, though.
Yeah. And
they never have the roof open.
The Packers and their crappy defense will be coming to town. I think that's going to be a layup for the Cowboys. They can't screw this one up. What's the spread in that game?
6.5.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? Yesterday was the anniversary of, right? The big day. One of the few negative historical marks that Cowboys fans remember in our history. As yesterday was the 9th anniversary of the Dez Caught It game.
Oh, yeah. And he did catch it. He did catch it.
He did. And
that was a screw job. That was an NFL special right up that took us.
The divisional round against the Packers, and it was clearly a catch. The Cowboys would have won that game.
That was, when I go back and talk about the catch, no catches, there's the Calvin Johnson one. It was ridiculous, but the Dez one was probably with the most on the line. Well, I mean, I could go to the first one ever, the Bert Emanuel in St. Louis. I was there for that. I watched it with my own eye. We were waiting to go on the field and do our stand-ups and interviews, and we're in the tunnel waiting, and it happened right in front of us, all the assembled media, and nobody really knew what the hell was going on because we weren't used to replay yet, and we're looking up at the big screen, and we're like, I think they're, and then I saw a monitor in the tunnel, and because nobody on the field really knew what was going on. I don't even think Tony Dungy knew, the coaches knew, because this was all kind of new. And I see them starting to do this replay stuff on the TV, and I'm like, oh my God. And you can, and it would be called a catch today as Emmanuel caught it and his hands were under it, had control. Now part of the ball touched the turf.
Yeah.
But his hands were underneath it and caught it. So by today's ruling, it would have been a catch. Mm-hmm. And they still had, they would have been at the 17-yard line. I think first and 10 at the 17 with about 35 seconds to go, if I'm remembering correctly, needed a touchdown. So it wasn't a game decider, maybe like Dez's, but those were two plays where you just, you're like, what are we doing here? This is as big a moment as there is. Everybody knows what a catch is. That's a catch. Dez is a catch. Burt's is a catch, and a great catch at that. But, these are both fantastic. This is always the biggest problem I had with some of this stuff is like you watch an elite athlete make an unbelievable play in a crunch moment. I mean, that's what we live for, right? This is why we watch sports. This is it. This is the moment, right? Look what that guy just did in the moment. And then some nerd in glasses and a zebra outfit is going to stare into a little monitor for 30 minutes and then tell me that didn't just happen.
It was Dean Blandino. That
like,
Dean Blandino on the
Dean
map. He
Blandino.
was the replay official that called it a no catch.
That is not why we tune in to watch football. Hello.
Yeah.
And it's also how the NFL controls the outcomes. But anyway,
so we have the catch, no catch. We have the Tony Romo fumbled snap on the field goal that would have put them ahead of Seattle in the playoff game.
Right.
And then, of course, we have the 1967 NFL Championship Ice Bowl, where Bart Starr with a little quarterback sneak over yard to win the NFL championship to go to Super Bowl II against the Raiders.
Yeah,
but it could have been the Cowboys. But we don't have a lot of negative crap going on, so we got to.
Well, we got plenty here, so we're looking forward to this weekend with the Eagles, which is all about negativity. It's like John Kincade will join us. We'll be like, which team is worse? I mean, the more I look at this game, it's like, how is this a playoff game? And I don't mean to piss off Buccaneer fans, and I'm not trying to steal your joy. And I like I told you, enjoy this. I'm just objectively dissecting the game from a football standpoint. So yes, enjoy your playoff game, buy the tickets, fill up the stadium, have a blast, bring your ponchos, all that stuff. But we're going to get down to the down and dirty on both these teams, which are not very good. They don't even look like playoff teams. They look terrible.
And Sal Paolantonio gave us a pretty good referendum on it, yesterday when he was on the show. We'll get into that a little bit later to talk about his thoughts on it. We didn't get to discuss it too much yesterday. Yeah,
we'll relive that a little bit as well. He had some great stuff to say about the Eagles and the Buccaneers. I want to just jump right in though and talk, because I know we have a lot of FSU fans out there, and a lot of people are tuning in to get any information at all on what's going on with Mike Norvell. I did kind of a straw poll with all my insiders around FSU, and while nobody could give me a definitive yes or no, I would say if I had a meter, I would be at about 85% stays. Mike Norvell. It'd be about 85 to I won't dare say 90%. If the USF people lose their minds. So I'm going to go 85%. I'm not reporting this as fact, folks. This is just in cobbling together from all my different sources around Florida, in and around Florida State. The feeling is that yes, Alabama is very much interested. That obviously his agent is reworking his contract and getting him a lucrative extension for FSU, and probably getting some assurances that the football-only facility will be moving forward and dirt will be turned on that, which is good news for everyone. So yeah, I think this could turn out to be something very, very positive. Now, the good news is this morning, if you're an FSU fan, not if you're a Washington fan, that DeBoer has had scheduled his studio coaches show, and he canceled it. So Kalen DeBoer looks like he's out the door at Washington. Plus, yesterday Mike Norvell poached a great offensive lineman from where? Alabama. TJ Ferguson, monster, huge get in the portal. They also got a great Oregon State defensive lineman. Mike Norvell is killing it in the portal this week. That's kind of the story nobody's talking about because of all the other shiz that's going on. But yeah, so he's doing a great job. Why would you keep offensive lineman from a school that you're planning to go coach? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? Yeah. So, all roads point towards Norvell staying, except the fact that he hasn't done a Dan Lanning and come out and done a video that says I'm staying at Florida State. I think that's because he's still trying to I think his agent's still trying to work out his extension, get more money. That's the way these things work. Sorry, folks, if you don't like that, but that's the way it works. This is the time for him to get more job security, which, when you're in the situation that Florida State is in, you do it. You write the check, whatever it is. And then there, also get some facilities guarantees if you can, because this is the time to do it. And I think all that works in any FSU football fans' favor. So I think Mike Norvell is staying. I'm not reporting that as fact, but I believe all signs point to him staying. And how interesting it is that all these FCC folks and all on their high horse about the ACC is trash, FSU is trash, they're terrible, you didn't do anything, blah 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 blah. Oh, but if Saban leaves, we want your coach because he's really good. Oh, and remember ESPN last week? Oh, the culture is so bad at Florida State. None of the players want to play in the bowl game. Yeah. Culture's so bad that Alabama, the premier program in the SEC, wants to poach your coach. So, the proof is in, excuse me, proof is in the pudding, right? What you say means nothing. What you do means everything. And what the Alabama is showing that FSU has one of the best young coaches in the game. They would very much like to have him. And Kalen DeBoer, I hope he gets the job. And I think he's a fine choice. I think he's a great choice. Like, please, make that happen. I don't want to say anything bad about him or how much better I think Norvell would be at that job, but until after the deal is done. But I think all signs are pointing towards that. And it's interesting. Jimmy Sexton, the super agent, as TJC just put in our comments here. It's he owns everybody. He's the agent for Event 2 single candidate. Every single candidate mentioned: Norvell, DeBoer, Sark, everyone. Like, how does that work? I mean, if he's your agent, and it's a job like Alabama and everybody wants it, like, how do you do that? Are you promoting one guy over the other? I don't know how it works,
right? Like
it really does. It really does. But he's the best agent in the business, and he also knows how to work both sides to the middle. So it's just really, really interesting how that whole thing works. But I think in terms of that for FSU, I think the news is going to be good, and Mike Norvell will keep climbing. And the program will keep climbing. As I said, they did really good in the portal. We've been talking to Pat Burnham. We may have him on the show as well. He may jump in. He's down on campus right now. Of course, he works for the Osceola. We had him on every Friday. Very knowledgeable about the portal guys that they brought in. So you want to get him on to talk about that. And go to the Osceola and read all his stuff there too. Great stuff. They've got some great podcasts. If you're an FSU fan, highly recommend that. So he may join us. He's on campus right now. In fact, texted me that a couple of guys are coming in on campus as the portal stuff keeps going. This will be on the Osceola reporting as well. Who were the other guys? Offensive lineman from, I believe, Florida. So yeah, he's bringing in all kinds of different portal guys. He's not done, and we'll get you some updates on that. Now to the sanctions of FSU.
Oh boy.
I'm sitting here reading this last night, just doing just what I'm doing right now, shaking my head. Alex Atkins, offensive line coach, was and TJ Pittinger has this story. He uncovered this. I believe the tight end coach at Georgia turned him in. Now, it's interesting. The SEC has a very strict policy. No, you do not rat on a fellow SEC team. But if there's another team out of conference, you rat on them, which is just like so wonderful. And then it involved someone in the NIL collective for FSU who then spilled the beans to the NCAA. And by the way, and Alex Atkins, I believe, was not as forthcoming as he should have been. So the penalties were a little bit worse. And the part about it that's ridiculous is the NCAA is now trying to punish FSU for doing what every other school is doing in NIL. They did nothing that every coach is putting together boosters and collective people together. You're not, quote, supposed to do it, but everybody's doing it because they know that the NCAA really has no power. And this is why I'm a little, and I don't know the inner workings of this, but, Michigan fought the NCAA tooth and nail. And I think that's the way to go and show that they're feckless and they have no power. FSU decided to admit to all the things and take the penalties. And the penalties, the most serious of which are 5 scholarship reduction, which is, that's significant.
It's a big deal.
No post-game ban, but 2 years of probation. Atkins gets suspended for 3 games. Stuff you could, but the recruiting, that's a big deal. 5 scholarships is a big deal. And they decided not to fight the NCAA. And the worst part about it is the guy at the NCAA that's in charge of all this crap is Stan Wilcox, their former athletic director at FSU that was fired in disgrace. He's the one that basically ran Jimbo Fisher off because he wanted to build softball stadiums instead of football facilities. And and a lot more and a lot worse. He's the one that did these terrible TV deals or was part of that whole cabal. He's the one who hired Willie Taggart, and he's the one that has taken most of the blame, as he should, for being the worst athletic director in the history of athletic directors. So now he goes to the NCAA, he gets a job there, and decides to take the first NIL penalties at who? His former school that gave him an opportunity, number one, that he ran into the ground, and then turns and doesn't like the way he's been, his legacy has been treated. You created that, bro. And now wants to come after FSU. And he's also the one that screwed over Daryl Jackson, the double transfer, which most everybody got the waiver for except for Daryl Jackson. And at the end of the season, the NCAA says, yeah, you can transfer as many times as you want now. It screwed that guy out of a whole year of football, a young man. It's criminal. And I wish he would sue the NCAA because I think he would win. And I think he'd win a lot of money. And it's all of this stuff. It's just these people that are in power. They're disgusting. It's like they have grudges. Nothing is about fairness or the rules, or it's just like it's all so corrupt. All of it. It's ridiculous. And to pick out FSU out of a mountain of teams that are all doing the same stuff, like nobody knows what the rules are. There are no NIL rules. No. You're literally saying that, under this a booster cannot be involved in giving money to a player. What do you think NIL is? The collectives are. I mean, my God, what are we doing? And you can't help but say, this looks like a little bit of selective prosecution.
And why would you not fight it?
I don't know.
The NCAA is the easiest organization in sports to fight and win because they have zero power.
I don't know.
You just roll over on it.
That just boggles my mind. I mean, again, I don't know the inner workings of it. So I guess the powers that be had a good reason. Just get it done, get it over with. Go by. We have enough lawsuits right now going on. We don't need another. Maybe that's it. Maybe they just want to focus on getting out of the conference, take their medicine, and just move on. Maybe that was it. It's too much to fight it. We got legal bills out the yin yang for this other stuff. So, let's go. And, Jimmy Petronas, who is the probably the future governor of the state of Florida and the CFO right now, went off on Twitter last night. And I was like, go get him, Jimmy. He liked my reply this morning. So hopefully we can get him on the show because he's pissed off. I mean, these are elected officials that know this is about way more than football. This is about Disney. This is about ESPN. This is about their whole political fight between DeSantis and Disney and Petronas and the Republican legislature and Disney and ESPN and Florida State University, which is where? Tallahassee. I mean, how can all of this be? It's supposed to be college football, man. These guys are just trying to play football and have a level playing field. That's all they're trying to do. And all these adults want to get involved in all this bull crap. It's ridiculous. It's all about power and money and vendettas and which side of the aisle are you on? And don't think that's not part of this, folks. Look where ESPN is. Look where Disney is. Look where Tallahassee is. Look where Ron DeSantis is. Look where Jimmy Petronas is. Look where Florida State is. It's all part of it. And you say, oh, JP, that's just conspiracy theory. Look at it. It's plain as day. These are powerful people, and they don't like to be effed with. And this is all part of it. And this is the most public place they could do it. And this is where they're doing it, at the dispense of the players. The players are the ones that are getting screwed out of playoff bids, that are getting screwed out of money that should be coming to the university in their program. The fans are getting screwed out of it because Florida State is being unfairly targeted by the NCAA and ESPN and thus the SEC. It sucks. And if you're an FSU fan right now, if Mike Norvell leaves, and I don't think he is, but man, if Mike Norvell left, it's like my son's texting me. He's like, Dad, please, don't tell me Mike Norvell's not leaving. Like, I'm not sure I can handle all this. I'm like, I know it's a lot. So All right, so I don't want to go on too long about FSU. We know a lot of Bucs fans here that want to talk Bucs football, and we'll get to that, of course, with John Kincade coming up here at 10:30. He's going to join us from the Fan in Philly. I got a couple of questions that are on point here, so I might as well get to those. Christopher Cole says, why were they sanctioned? Because basically they were, a booster, a coach, and the collective and a player all met together, which is happening all the time.
Yeah, so the coach, the way I read it was the offensive line coach or assistant offensive line coach Atkins facilitated a meeting between a transfer recruit and a booster, which I thought that's what NIL was about, right?
It's exactly what it's
apparently about. It's not, because that's why they're getting sanctioned. And it's, by the way, one of the sanctions is a $5,000 fine plus 1% of the football budget.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a hefty monetary fine too.
Yeah. Which, money is an important thing that FSU is very interested in right now.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, how about talk about selective prosecution, which is why I'm just really, I just don't get it why FSU didn't fight this like Michigan did and fight some of their stuff, but so be it. All right. So let's move on. The Buccaneers, taking on the Eagles. The injury reports are out. Baker Mayfield practiced in a limited way, more of a walkthrough since they have the extra day. More walkthroughs at One Buck Place because that's what we do. Whatever. Well, but the bigger news, I think, is the fact that Jalen Hurts hasn't thrown a pass this week, and he's got a dislocated middle finger on his passing hand. If he can't play, Marcus Mariota steps up. Interesting. I was looking at a article on Joe Buck's Fan, and Bill Polian was one of the few people that went to the executives that went to the Bucs Carolina game, and he was aghast, as they said in the article, about how bad the Buccaneers played. He said Carolina, Polian speculated the Bucs should have lost by 2 scores, which is what we talked about on Monday. He largely credited the Panthers' mistakes to the outcome rather than the plays made by the Bucs. He said, quote, Carolina not only shot themselves in the foot, they shot themselves in both feet, both arms, and the belly button. You can't feel good about Tampa's chances against the Eagles. They're going to have to play great on defense. Did Baker just have a bad day? Hard to believe against the defense that's as poor as Carolina was. Could they have been overlooking Carolina while needing to clinch a division title? That seems unlikely. So I don't know what to make of that game, Polian said. Basically, just looking back at the way the Bucs have played the last 2 weeks, this was my whole point on Monday. I'm not trying to be a buzz killer here, but I don't know how you look at the tape. And I was looking at some of the all 22 yesterday. I don't know how you look at the tape and go, oh yeah, I feel good about the Bucs this week. I mean, you can't. And Baker Mayfield's ankle is not good. It's not good. I mean, you could see places in that game where he could barely move. He could barely walk off the field. Those things don't go away in a week. Now, you can get them ready to play and you can get right, and it feels kind of good going into the game. But as soon as you get stepped on or you get hit, it goes right back to ground zero. And you've got no strength, no movement in it. And if you're Baker Mayfield against, an Eagles front seven, I know that has not played well. They have not played well in recent weeks. They are in dysfunction. We'll hear that from John Kincade. But I want to look at my team and say, okay, here's what they're doing well. Hard to find anything on offense the last 2 weeks that they're doing well. It's abysmal. And defensively, outside of Antoine Winfield Jr. and Levante David, and some flashes from Kalijah Kancey, Yaya Diaby. I mean, I know they shut out the Panthers, but man, like Polian said, that the Bucs so easily could have lost that game, and that's what makes this crazy. Everybody is like, oh, Todd Bowles is safe. There's no, absolutely. I said, how do you say that? You can't, if you're the Glazers, you're not just looking at the outcome of the game. I mean, what have we learned the last couple of days? We knew this. Well, what have you heard about Saban and Belichick? What did they always preach? The process. I was like, don't pay attention to the scoreboard. You take care of your process, the scoreboard will take care of itself. And that works both ways. Now, if you look at the process that the Bucs are putting out there the last few weeks, it's awful. It's awful. You got what you deserved on the scoreboard against the Saints, but maybe, against Carolina, you did a little bit better than you deserved. You easily could have lost that football game. And if they did, the pitchforks, the torches would all be out. And you can't just say because, the other team dropped 4 interceptions and they made a stupid play at the goal line trying to fly through the air and score a touchdown when all you had to do was stay on the ground, and DJ Shark had a terrible penalty on another touchdown that you scored. I mean, you can't look at that game and go, oh yeah, the Bucs deserve to win that. No. And then but here we are. You're in a playoff game. I get it. Who cares about the past? Move forward. Well, in order to analyze this game moving forward, I got to look at the past. And what I've seen is god awful. Problem is, the Eagles are just as bad. Like, Timmy, I can't believe that these two teams are going to be playing a football game on Monday Night Football on Wild Card Weekend. They're playing so poorly.
It's a playoff game too.
It's a playoff game. Playoffs. It's a playoff game. It's bizarre.
So there's a possibility. What you're saying is there's a possibility we could get the Kyle Trask versus Marcus Mariota show
at some point in the game. I don't think that's unrealistic.
Are you more scared of a 50% Jalen Hurts with a broken finger on his throwing hand, or a 100% Marcus Mariota?
At this point, I'd rather see Jalen Hurts because I know what that is. It's bad. It's really, really bad. Marcus Mariota, frankly, a running quarterback who, can move and make plays out of the pocket. Now, A.J. Brown didn't practice yesterday either. So we're not sure, he's got a knee injury that looks significant. Now, on Monday, we're all saying, oh, it's going to be okay. But now I'm like, I don't know. So there's Sidney Brown, their safety, is definitely out. He tore his ACL. So they're not only banged up, they're bad. So I can't pick the game. The only thing I can do is look at one. There's one segment on this team on both sides of the football that I think is still really, really good. And Sal Powell talked about this yesterday, and that's the Eagles offensive line. And I think the Eagles offensive line can do exactly what they did in the first game. And that's line up and steamroll the Buccaneers for 200 yards. Now, Kalijah Kancey didn't play in that game. But I'm not here. I'm here to say that Kalijah Kancey is not, the end all be all in terms of run stoppers. He's not yet. So that is, that's a thing. So I think I think the Eagles can do that. And I don't think there's anything the Bucs can do about it. Vita Vea, by the way, has not had any sacks, tackles for loss, quarterback hits in the last 5 weeks. I don't know what's going on with him. Well, probably injuries to be sure. He's playing injured. So I mean that to me scares me. And if it does rain, 80% chance of rain, and the Eagles can run the football and establish that, then I think that's the winning edge. I think that's the winning edge in the game. But anything can happen when you've got two teams that are this bad. But I don't have a lot I can hang my hat on when I look at the Buccaneers, because Baker Mayfield, although he's played great, is beat up and injured, and the last 2 weeks has not played good football. How can I expect him to somehow resurrect himself in 1 week and go do it? He's a gamer, and he's shown us that he knows how to win football games when you think he can't. So maybe that's, a kind of an intangible you check right there for the Buccaneers. But for the most part, it's just hard to analyze this game and go, okay, that's where the Bucs have an advantage. This is where they've been good, and they're going to go win it because of this. I don't see it.
And, every team's dealing with injuries, playoff teams, even teams that didn't make the playoffs. And I think we're glossing over the significance of that 17th regular season game that we've just, we've only had for the past couple of years. That's a big deal on a player's body and on a player's, ability to remain healthy towards the end of the season. That one extra game every season is a big deal, especially for the playoff teams and especially for these quarterbacks.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. I never liked the 17th game idea anyway. It's enough is enough. 16's plenty,
Well, I was a fan of getting rid of the 4, we don't need 4 preseason games, but you didn't have to tack on a regular season game.
And by the way, it's like that's not an even trade for the players.
No.
It's not a season trade. A preseason game they don't play in, as opposed to a real game that everybody has to play in, is usually and at the end of the year when everybody's hurt and playoffs are on the line. Stress level a little bit different.
But I think that's had a huge impact the past. What are we now in year 3 of it? Year 4?
Well, just look at the Eagles. Look who they would have healthy this week if it weren't for the last week of the season.
Yep.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, John Kincade from the Fan in Philly will join us. They are crushing the Eagles. It's like which host is going to crush their team more? That's the tease. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Scott Jeeves, big football fan, big Gator fan, and a local guy. The attorneys at the Jeeves Law Group will take care of you. And you can go meet with them in St. Petersburg or in Tampa. They've got offices all over, and they're local. So keep it local here, folks. They're big enough to take on the big insurance companies, but small enough to give you the great attention you deserve. That's the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Back in 3. Stay with us. Are you tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. Yeah, it's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The Patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages, and it's home to the Tampa Gator Club and Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome at any time. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the Patio. It's also home to a great happy hour. Weekdays get $4 White Claw vodka drinks and $4 White Claw seltzers, $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 with tons of specials and the fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have swag and ticket giveaways as well. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the Patio and come watch football in a tropical paradise all season long. It's 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the Patio.
Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to GeddesGordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
Coming back at you.
Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right. Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Get your testosterone right, get your nutrition right, your immune system. Go to BAMMC.com to get it right. All right, let's welcome in our good friend John Kincade from the Fan in Philly radio legend. What's up, my friend? How are you?
Oh, I just heard you do that ad for Bay Area Medical, like about the mental stability. I could use that right now. Do they do telemedicine?
They do.
Because
they'll put you on the couch the whole nine. Yeah.
The last 6 weeks have almost done me in. It is incredible up here, from 10-1 to a burning building, and literally they're throwing the babies out of the building, just hoping somebody catches them. There's no plan.
I caught him.
No plan. Nick Sirianni chucking babies out the window, just hoping somebody catches them.
Which reminds me of the greatest news quote in Philadelphia history, when they had the guy who caught the baby going, and I caught him, unlike Aguilar.
Oh, yes. Aguilar. Oh, yeah, it's been a nightmare, but I hope you guys have a little bit of nightmare for us, too.
Oh, we do. Oh, we do. It's a dumpster fire.
You want to trade war stories here?
Yeah, that was the tease for this part. It's like, which host is going to trash their team more? Stay with us. And so I think that's where we're at right now. Hey, but look at this.
Well, I'm not going to trash Todd, because I think I've told you before, if not, that Todd and I were college classmates.
Yes, absolutely.
University. Think the world of Todd Bowles, and Todd Bowles was as good a man when he was a 20-year-old as he is today. The character, he's just a good man, and I wish Todd and everybody the best, and go Owls.
Listen, it pains me so much that when I have to analyze this football team and analyze Todd's performance, when I have to criticize it, it pains me so much, because I love the guy so much as a human being. But, when we're doing our job the right way, we have to put our personal feelings aside and just say what we see on the football field. And frankly, John, it's not been good. And it's not all Todd's fault. I mean, we're dealing with about $75 million in dead cap money. Everybody's got injuries this time of year. He's got a $4 million quarterback that he's turned into maybe the comeback player of the year. Not that he's done a lot with that. That's a lot on Dave Canales. But, this is a team that comes out against the Saints when you've got everything to play for. It's the biggest game of the year, and you're in your home stadium to win an NFC South title, and you come out flat as flat as a pancake. Your game plans are awful, so much so that you even admit so in the post game. We had a terrible game plan. We were flat. That just can't happen, and that's the responsibility of the head coach. And they were lucky, and I mean lucky, to win in Week 18 against the worst team in the league in Carolina, and couldn't score a touchdown against them. I mean, it's bad. It's bad.
Well, I mean, you think it's bad? I'm going to one-up you. I mean, you're talking about a 10-1 team that. And I'm sitting in the building that day, and it was the first time I was allowed back in the stadium to go see the Birds play the San Francisco 49ers in the rematch of the NFC title game. And I saw them get absolutely pantsed by Kyle Shanahan. And as I'm not the biggest fan of Kyle personally, but he's a brilliant coach.
Yeah.
And it was a amazing day. But I will tell you, JP, they were broken that day. They were broken. Not only did they get their backsides kicked in front of their home crowd, but I think their confidence took a major hit.
Yeah.
And then they go to Dallas the next week. They fumble 3 times within the Dallas 40-yard line in Dallas territory. So they leave at least 9 points on the board with our kicker, if not more. And they drop 2 balls in the end zone. I mean, it was terrible, a terrible performance. And I'm like, okay, they can get past that. That's San Francisco and Dallas. They can get past it, clean everything up.
Right.
And it just continued. It was a death spiral. And it really has. They are lucky they won on Christmas Day, or this would be a 6-game losing streak going into the playoffs.
So what can you put your finger on? I mean, everybody talks about the loss of the coordinators, Matt Patricia now moving in. I mean, it seems like chaos. There's injuries. Like what can you put your finger on?
Well, the injury thing, it's funny, is that people will point to that now. And they'll say to themselves, well, look, how do you expect to do it when A.J. Brown's hobbled, when Devontae Smith is hobbled? The bottom line is this. They weren't hobbled going into San Francisco game. They weren't hobbled going into the Dallas game that started this death spiral. They were a team that was pretty healthy comparatively. They were right there with a chance to be able to, put everything together. They didn't do it. They are I think what we've learned is they're a bit of a front runner squad. Like if they were to go out and really have a dominant first quarter, I would absolutely believe they're going to walk off the field winning that night. If they go out and stub their toe early, I think it's woe is me. Oh my gosh, here we go again. And they're just not a confident bunch right now. And I do believe there is a severe disconnect between what the coordinators are asking them to do and what they want to do as players. And I think I don't want to say ignoring, but it's almost gotten to that point where it seems like they're ignoring.
John Kincade joining us from 97.5, The Fan in Philly. Hey, John, Jalen Hurts, we had Sal Pal on earlier this week, and he talked about how he is just not the same player. There's not the same confidence in him. What's going on with him? Even his body language looks so bad. And he looks alone. It doesn't look like his teammates are celebrating with him. Like what's going on? It just looks weird.
Well, what I'm going to say is that remember, he's as exciting as hearing somebody read the phone book. So already going in, but nobody cared last year when we ended up in Arizona for the Super Bowl. Right. Nobody cares about it. But the problem is this: is I said it's okay if you say, "Hey, he's not a vocal rah-rah leader." That's okay. If everybody's different, but there comes a time where you got to have a second pitch. You got to be Tom Glavine. You got to be Greg Maddux. You got to have a second pitch. And they don't have that right now because Jalen Hurts doesn't know any other way to lead than to be like the brooding Nick Saban, tossing out Nick Saban quotes. And one of the guys who works on my show says he must walk around Dick's Sporting Goods and read all the T-shirts, and then he just regurgitates the slogans because he doesn't have anything interesting to offer. That doesn't mean he's not a hell of a player when he wants to be, but I think his confidence has sagged. And this team has the offensive coordinator in Brian Johnson that he wanted, a guy he knew since he was 4 years old, who played quarterback for his dad when his dad was a high school coach. So he pretty much handpicked this offensive coordinator to be the transition from Shane Steichen, and he doesn't seem pleased with it now. Well, guess what? You're the guy. You're the one who ordered the meal. Go eat it.
Yeah. John Kincade joining us from The Fan in Philly. What about his injury to his finger? I saw a little video yesterday, and he's picked up a ball and threw it half-heartedly. Can he play? Can he grip the ball?
Mariota. Yeah. Exactly. He has thrown one ball as of last night, and that was to Marcus Mariota with the public watching. So that's what I will tell you is that the middle finger's mangled, and for some reason. And there's a great soundbite from yesterday's post-media presence. It appears he put himself back in the game on Sunday when they were getting their backsides kicked from the Giants. After dislocating that finger, he wanted to go back in there and play. He wanted to get back in. And they asked because the A.J. Brown and him, the Seattle game, they're down by a field goal. They are 11 yards from Jake Elliott's under 50 range, and they go off script, check out of the play, and him and AJ try to go for the home run. The ball's intercepted and it's over. And they both hit out, didn't take responsibility for it. And then 2 weeks later, we find out, that was an improv on our part because AJ Brown told us the truth. And yesterday, Jalen Hurts was confronted about it, and he was not happy. He goes, there's a lot of stuff that you guys don't know that you think you know, but you don't know. So in other words, it just gets to the same level of nonsense. I think when things are going well, he's a very, very happy man.
Right.
When things are going poorly, he is maybe a little sulky Susan there.
That's not great leadership, to say the least. And I
don't think it is either. I think it's young leadership, but he'll learn. But it's not good. I mean, the slumped shoulders, the glazed over look,
all that.
I don't go for that. That's me.
And that's as I turn it back to our team here, that's one thing you do not get with Baker Mayfield. That when that guy takes a hit, he gets up and he's coming right back at you. And more times than not this year, he wins. It may be by decision and his face is absolutely bloodied, but he wins. They lift his hand up. And that's why this team loves him. That's why he has become the spiritual and emotional leader of this team. He is extremely limited right now. He's got a bad ankle and probably some really bad, painful ribs, and makes it tough to throw. But I think he's going to game it out and try to get through this. but I don't expect him to be fantastic in throwing the football. Not that he has to be against this Eagles secondary, but
well, I got good news for you. I mean, is the fact is those ribs, Baker, if you're listening, you're probably safe because the Eagles haven't really been punishing any quarterbacks at all.
How is that possible with the people they have up front?
Well, because of the fact that they took Sean Desai out of the defensive coordinator's job. They gave it to Matt Patricia, and Matt Patricia managed to make it worse. He made it more complicated where even veteran players have said, can we make this a little more simple to understand? Not a fan at all. The defensive side of the ball, they'll be cleaning house on the defensive side. And Brian Johnson the offense coordinator, has 2 head coach interviews. I don't know how, because I think they must have missed every single Eagles game this year. Those owners.
Yeah, I don't get that.
He may be a great speaker.
That's what they love.
Great motivator. But guess what? The problem is his game plan, his offensive game plan. I guarantee you that. What's that? Plant High School in Tampa, right?
Yeah.
Like Plant High School. I guarantee you, if I don't even know what they run, and if they pulled up tape, Aaron Murray could get it for me. It would be a more creative offense than you see out of the Eagles.
Yeah, I think Sal Powell told us yesterday that they run pre-snap motion 26% of the time, and the league average is like 52, and they're the low.
How about this? when you see Jalen Hurts under center, okay, how many times has he attempted a pass this year?
I don't know.
1.
Wow. Boy, that's not a tell.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's a tell. Oh, Jalen's taking under center because you know what they're doing? They're celebrating when your best play is the push.
Yeah,
when that's your best play. You have to get it to 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 to be able to run your best offensive play. That's a problem. That is a real problem.
Wow, you're talking me out of this, Kincade, because I was going to pick the Eagles because I said the only segment I see in this game that I can count on is the Eagles running game, and that went for 200 against the Buccaneers. The players are essentially the same.
Also,
the players are essentially the same. And the Bucs, when teams want to run, they run right at Devin White, who can't get off a block to save his life, especially in that Philly game. Go look at that tape and look at 45. Terrible. And that was the game Jalen
rainy night.
Yeah. That was the game Jalen threw one right to Devin White. And instead of running over Jalen Hurts, he ran out of bounds.
Yes. I mean,
walked out of bounds.
The big key is this: especially if it is going to be a rainy night. I think the game plan is going to be all run the ball too, because that's why they rested DeAndre Swift last week. They said he wasn't feeling his best before the game. I think they were saying, "Rest up, big boy. Be ready to go out there." He rushed for 130 yards against you guys last time.
Exactly, and easy
carries, and the tackling was terrible.
It is terrible.
And so, which surprised me against him. But I expect that if you gave me the over/under on running the football on Monday night, you said like 36.5 carries, 37. I'm taking the over.
Taking the over. Yeah, and the Philly run game is still on the ground. The Philly run game is still pretty good.
Yeah, it is. And Devontae Smith is back. He will be back. He is going to be there. AJ Brown, we don't know if he's playing for sure with a 2nd-degree sprain of his knee. But AJ is very bodacious as far as he believes he will be there. Okay. And with Jalen Hurts, I'll just have to judge whether his brooding look means he's playing or not. I don't
know. All right.
Hey, John, this is Tim. A real quick question for
Tim.
you.
Sure.
And I'll state my allegiance before I begin this question. I broadcast out of Dallas. So, of course, I'm a Cowboys fan. And I'm a member of the Dallas media.
That's okay.
And Cowboys media and fans thrive on rumors of Eagles dysfunction. All right, we always have, just like y'all do here. Is there any truth to the rumors that we're getting down here of the fact that Jalen Hurts has completely lost this team? They've lost all confidence in him, right?
No, I'm going to tell you that's ridiculous. That's absolutely untrue. But if you're talking about locker room turmoil, it's there.
Sure.
It's there. So at least you got that the Dallas media has that part of the story correct. There is absolute dysfunction within that coaching staff, player communication right now. As far as the players being willing to carry the water for the coaching staff and say, hey, we believe in the plan. We like the plan. We understand the plan. I guarantee you that is where the disconnect is.
Gotcha.
As far as losing Jalen Hurts is still extremely popular with his teammates. So that is absolutely not true. But I can tell you that can all change.
Yeah.
You go out there. If there's another year of this next year at the end, they collapse or something like that, then that can all change. But that would be the story. But I'll tell you this right now. I'll make the call right now for both of you. If Dallas were to lose on Sunday or the Eagles were to lose on Monday, I put it at 50-50 that the head coach is fired in both teams.
Absolutely, 100%.
And look what you got to look forward to, Kincade. Bill Belichick going to be the new head coach in Philadelphia. Mr. Mumbles in the press conference.
He'll never be here because he'll never
I
be
don't
here.
know.
No, he's never going to be here. And the reason why is that Jeffrey Lurie is not firing Howie Roseman. And there's no way that they're hiring a head coach who is above Howie Roseman's head, who dictates to Howie Roseman what you have to do. They did that once with Chip Kelly, and it fell apart. That will never happen. Bill Belichick will never be here because Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman are attached at the hip. So that's not happening. I think if Dallas loses, I think Bill Belichick will be the coach of the Cowboys next year.
Oh,
really? Really?
Yep. If Mike McCarthy loses this game with this hype and all the gifts that the Eagles gave them to even be the 2 seed, if he loses this game, I'm telling you right now, I believe that Bill Belichick will be the coach of the Cowboys next year.
I believe McCarthy's fired. Like we all realize that if he doesn't make an NFC Championship game appearance, he's probably gone.
And if you want to hire, like I got to tell you, if any organization wants, I will tell you right now, I don't care what organization he's hired by, the Bill Belichick thing will not work.
No, I agree.
It will not work.
I agree.
Yeah,
it's not going to work. And I think he's going to be a Washington Commander.
You don't think he's going back to your old haunt in Atlanta? Arthur Blank is just salivating.
No. Yeah, but the thing is, though, JP knows this well, is Arthur Blank literally is the most summons his head coaches to have game plan discussions.
Yeah, I know.
To have roster discussions and things like that. Jeffrey Lurie doesn't do any of that garbage. As far as hey, you're preparing for the week, but come and meet with me and let's do a film session together and you explain to me what you're doing. Arthur Blank's way too meddlesome, I believe, to have Bill Belichick come in there and go, yeah, I'm willing to wander over to Arthur's place, have lunch and talk to him about why I made decisions in games. And I know what happened with Dan Reeves. He hated it. I know what happened with Jim Mora. He didn't dig it. And I don't know if it happened. I don't know, JP, if it happened with Dan Quinn, but I think he did have a heavy hand in talking to Dan all the time.
Yeah, and Mike Smith as well. Yeah.
Nothing worse.
Dan Quinn going to end up in Seattle?
Man, I don't know about that. Everybody in Seattle, I write for several NFL teams. Seattle's one of them. And everybody in Seattle is so big on Dan Quinn wants to come home. You know what? I'm not sure he still considers that home. That was a long time ago.
Well, I mean, it depends on what other jobs are open for him.
Mm-hmm. He'll get one of them.
That he'd have an attractiveness to. I was personally hoping he'd be the Commanders coach. Because then he's in the division and we'd be able to, have him as a head coach. He's a good man. Really good man.
I like Dan.
He would echo that.
Yeah, he's a good man, very charismatic.
I'd much rather have him as a coordinator than have him as a head coach.
Absolutely.
Why do you say that?
I don't think he is I remember, and JP may remember this or not. I think it was the year after the Super Bowl loss.
Yeah.
And he came into the first players meeting and they had it on videotape. They were videotaping it all. And he walked into the room and he said, guys, I am the most woke I've ever been for an NFL season. And I'm like, okay, someone tell Dan Quinn he doesn't know what woke means.
That's not
he certainly wasn't awake
Yeah.
during the Super Bowl when he let everything fall apart. But he goes, guys, I've never been more woke for an NFL season in my life, and I just cringed. I was like, okay, I am honestly like the poster child for middle-aged white guy in America, and Dan Quinn made me look as hip as hell. Seriously, it was embarrassing. I think he's about bumper stickers. I think he's about motivation, and he's a good man.
Yeah.
But I think that when you ask someone
not
else
authentic,
to take the reins as far as the big leader, it works.
John, what's your opinion of the 50-year-old coordinator that wears his hat backwards everywhere?
Well, I'm not a big fan of coordinators that wear their hat backwards. I can tell you that much. I just think I'm not like that. I mean, because I'm an Eagles fan who likes Tony Romo. So I mean, and Tony, I don't think ever wore a hat the right way.
No,
in his life. But it's just, I think there's a way you carry yourself. I think there's just a way you carry yourself. I mean, like if you portray an image by the way you display yourself, and I think there's a lot of guys who they don't come off presidential as head coaching candidates and things like that. And I don't really, feel the same with them. So, and that's a bias. That's just an internal bias. But we've all got them.
Yeah, of course.
We've all got them.
Johnny, great stuff as always. Are you coming down for the game? I'm guessing.
I'll talk to you Monday morning.
Yeah. You're not coming down, are you?
No, we are not. We are not. I am not cleared. I'm not cleared yet from my cancer treatments for planes.
I got
so once that, if I am cleared for February, so if somehow in some ungodly way the Eagles end up in Vegas, I will be there. But I don't expect that to be happening.
Wow.
I do think the Eagles will win on Monday night. By the way, though, I do think they will win. They will eke one out.
I believe so as well. I think the running game's a difference. So
you guys are awesome. Great talking.
Thank you, Johnny. I'll talk to you on Monday, buddy.
Have a great day, guys. See you.
Thanks. Great, John Kincade, 97.5, the Fanatic. So I don't know who trashed their team more. Who won that one, Tim? You're the judge.
You won.
Yeah, I won.
You won. He picked the Eagles to win, so
he did.
Yeah,
he did.
That one.
Yeah, I just, as much as I would love to see a Bucs win and move on to the next round and all that, it's just I don't know how to pick them. I
always like John, man. John's a Philly guy, but dude, he's one of the few realistic Philly guys, right? Like he knows what's happening.
Yeah, and that's why Philly sports talk is so good. The guys are they're not homers. Don't be a homer. Don't be a homer. You got to say what you got to say about your home team. Try. Do I want to see the Bucs win? It's good for business. Absolutely. The more longer we go talking about football season, the better it is for business. Absolutely, 100%. But we try to give you, objective analysis of this. And yeah, am I an FSU alum? I absolutely am. Do I try to give you objective analysis? Yeah, I do. Am I tinged a little bit? Of course, everybody, you are. I try not to be, but when I see things, and I don't think, and that's one of the reasons why when I talk about Florida State and I talk about the Bucs, I try to bring a lot of facts to the table and say this, this is what I think, but this is why I think it.
Right.
And let people connect the dots if you can. So, and I can't find. You got to be able to make a case for a team. You got to be able to look at the X's and O's. And you look at the Eagles have been terrible. They've been terrible defensively. So you would say, well, the Bucs can outscore them. They could put up, 31 points. Not the way they're playing now. Not the way they're playing now. They're offensively, they can't really, they're not going to run the ball to, 200 yards where you dominate a game. Can they run it? Can they get it 120? Yeah. But is Baker to be able to push the ball downfield with his injuries? I don't know if he can.
So you guys are talking about rain, pretty bad weather, right? That's potentially there for the. How does Raymond James Stadium? How's the field hold up in weather like that? Does it get
pretty good,
or is it good? Okay.
No, it's really good. They got a good, whatever you call it, sub
drainage system.
Good drainage system. They have the pumps that pump the water out. So yeah, it handles it pretty good. And but it's still, Florida rain this time of year. And the forecast can change dramatically too, because I think it's more of a front coming through, and it can change, hour by hour. All you need is a good 2.5 hours of dryness, and just a little sprinkle is not going to make much of it. But we've been getting some downpours, and you get some of those downpours, you just can't play football in that stuff. It's heavy rain. It'll be tough, and so now it becomes a slugfest, and that's where the Eagles are better. They're just better up front on both sides of the ball. So that's the only thing I got. But it's a toss-up. It's a freaking toss-up. The team that makes the huge mistake will be the team that loses the game. And with a wet ball, the guy that fumbles it on the 4-yard line, that's gonna be a killer. And that could happen to either one of these teams. Jalen Hurts with a bad finger.
Well, so a wet ball is not going to do him very well with the bad finger already. So if that's a factor, then he could be in trouble.
Yeah, and Baker's ankle on a wet field, that's I don't think it's going to be pretty football. I don't think it's going to be, very entertaining, but it's a playoff game and it's a home playoff game. And if you're a Bucs fan, get your ass out there. We did have somebody.
Do you want to go over the final results of the poll from yesterday?
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
And we've got those right here for you. If the Bucs lose Monday night, should they go after Bill Belichick? 52.3% in the final voting. No, his style has passed, and that's obvious. You can see by the check mark. That's what I voted on.
Yeah.
17.8% stick with Bowles. 16.8%, of course, he's the GOAT, and 13.1% fire Bowles, hire Canales.
So you got a good. There's a lot of people that aren't Bill Belichick fans, clearly, and I think they're right. I do not want to see Bill Belichick here. I'm with Kincade. I think it's going to be a disaster anywhere he goes. He's clearly shown that, this game has passed him by, and he won't relinquish. I think if he would have wanted to relinquish power, he would have stayed in New England, right? Yep. And so I don't think he's going anywhere where he's going to relinquish power. Like John said, like if he goes to Philly, he's got to be under Howie Roseman. He's not going to do that. And if he goes to Dallas, is Jerry Jones going to allow him to do everything?
I mean, supposedly Jerry let Bill Parcells, cook all the meals and buy the groceries and all that. And, that.
But nobody else since, right?
No.
He's hired a lot of puppets.
I mean, you had Wade Phillips, then you had Jason for 10 and a half miserable years. And then McCarthy.
Yeah. So, we'll see. All right. We'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side, and we'll get into a little bit of bolts from last night. Some more FSU talk in the second hour. TJ Pittinger is going to join us. We may hear from Pat Burnham as well, who is on campus, if anything were to break. We haven't talked about the Gerard Mayo, new coach in New England. Very interesting selection there. And the Rays have made some signings as well. A lot to come in our second half. We are brought to you by the great folks at the Patio, and that's the place to watch all the games this weekend. Head on over to the Patio. Enjoy the good weather outside, not on Monday night. But you can also watch inside as well. Plenty of places that's covered up. You'll be fine. But a great place to watch all the games on Saturday and Sunday. So head on out to the Patio, 421 South McDill. They'll have drink specials, all kinds of good stuff. It's never that expensive at the Patio. That's why we love it. So head on over there and enjoy all the football this weekend. Back in 3. Stay with us.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com. or call 813-485-6808.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source. Head on over there, and with all that extra cash you got, just people gave you cash for the holidays. How terrible. What a terrible gift. Gift card, cash.
Gift cards, right? That's what you do these days.
Come on. We're better than that. Not for the ones you really love.
I love gift cards, man.
Yeah, I like to receive them, but I've always gone through the stigma that you shouldn't be giving them. But if you have them to the Gold and Diamond Source, they always have the great deal, as we talked about before, where you get $1,000 in value for $500, and you give those away, and then you're like, you're a baller now. I just gave you $1,000 when it was only $500. So now you got those. Now get into the Gold and Diamond Source and get all those nice, beautiful, shiny things they have. You're thinking about getting engaged for Valentine's Day. That's a good day to ask. Absolutely. You're getting married.
Who's dumb enough to go out and get engaged these days? Just kidding. Congratulations, JP.
Me? When you find a great woman, you better put a ring on that thing. That's all I'm saying. When you find a woman like I found one,
I'm not sure.
Lovely Ashley. Look at her now. She's betting parlays. She's got parlays. Yes, she does. Oh, does she have a sister?
Oh,
yeah, she does. Yeah, I'll send you her Instagram.
Yeah, we'll talk off the air.
Her sister is one of one. Let's just put it that way.
The FanStream Sports dating app.
She is one of one, and I think you guys would get along famously. I really do. Yeah, I think that might be a match. We'll see if we can put that all together.
I've been known to get along with some women.
Yeah. You smooth talker, you. Yeah, baby. Yeah. She might. I don't know though. Her intellect is. Let's just say it's a little above anything I've ever really encountered. It's interesting. It's very, very, very interesting. Very deep. Very, very confusing at times, but.
Is that the equivalent of saying just got a great personality, Tim?
I can't even describe it, honestly. I just have to experience it.
All right.
Anyway, if you're going to get engaged like I did at the Gold and Diamond Source, get on over there and tell them JP sent you. Great folks over there, and they'll take care of you. All right. The Bolts last night. How about the Bolts last night? So we're sitting there. And nice first period by the Bolts, come out with a lot of energy. But the Devils grabbed the lead. The Bolts come back and take a 3-1 lead. Luke Glendening gets a couple of goals, nice goals in front. Has one on a shorthanded goal where Hughes blows out a tire. Poor guy. He's bringing it up on the power play all alone and just blows a tire. And Glendening's just sitting there going, okay. Picks it up, puts it in the back of the net, and you're just like, somebody take me away. Somebody take me away.
It's fun to watch. That's always fun to watch. Anyway,
but then Nick Perbix did the same thing for them. Basically blew a tire and gave up a terrible turnover, ends up in the back of the net. So we're 3-3 in the third period, and the Bolts are just making mistake after mistake. They hit the post. So the Bolts survive the third period, and Vasi making some huge saves. And they get in the overtime for the second straight game. They win the faceoff. Yay. And they control the puck for most of it. And another defenseman comes out of nowhere, Darren Radish, and scores the overtime winner like we did on Tuesday. It was Nick Perbix, and they get a 4-3 overtime win over the Devils. They've won 3 of 4 now. They got the Ducks coming in Saturday, who are terrible, so you got a chance to win 4 or 5. So we're getting on a little bit of a run here. Then they're going to have to then they'll head back to the Eastern Conference. So it's exactly what you want to see. That we got some new defensemen coming up last night and playing. Gage Goncalves got his first taste of NHL action. That's the third. These guys all live together in Syracuse, by the way. 3 of them have made their NHL debuts in the last 2 weeks, and so they're shipping back and forth. Like, hey, how was it? And then it's like, oh, your turn. Go up to the NHL. And he got to fight last night, dropped the gloves, and this Goncalves kid, Goncalves, I think is how you say it. He's 22 years old. I don't even think he's shaven yet, Tim. I mean, this kid, he looks like he's 12. He's got the little peach fuzz mustache. Yeah. Like, I'm looking at his face during the interview. I'm like, I don't think that dude's ever shaved. I don't think he's ever shaved. And he talks like that. I'm like, it's just, he looks like he's 12, but he played really well last night. So yeah, their young defensemen are coming up and doing a little something. They're getting some scoring from their defensemen, which we've been talking about all year long. It was just Hetty and Sergey, and Sergey's been out now and will be out for a while. So yeah, I think maybe they're turning the corner. Every time we say that, they go back to kind of mediocre, but yeah, they're back in the playoff position, and let's see what happens. Now, they play down to their competition. We've seen that before, but you can't lose to Anaheim at home. Like, absolutely, 100%.
No.
That happened. So we'll chalk that one up. That's good. All right, Jared Mayo is your new quarterback for the new head coach in New England. And I didn't realize this was preordained. They'd actually already filed paperwork with the league and somehow was kept quiet. Yeah, I heard that on Get Up this morning. I'm like, wow. So they don't even have to do an official search. They don't have to do any of the.
What about the Rudy rule?
I guess if you file a succession plan and it's not an official coaching search,
yeah,
then it doesn't apply, which is kind of weird. But I mean, maybe if the successor is a minority,
right,
trumps the Rooney rule, which would make sense.
Yeah, it will satisfy that.
Yeah.
Youngest coach in the NFL now.
Yep, 37 years old.
He's a month younger than Sean McVay, who has been a coach in the league for 7 years now?
Is it that long?
6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
And has been the youngest coach the entire time in the league.
Yeah.
After being in the league that long, but now Mayo takes that over because he's a month younger.
Yeah. So very, very, very interesting. Because everybody was talking about possibly Vrabel being the new coach there. And now, where does he go? Where does he end up? Mike Vrabel.
And I've always said this. I think Vrabel is tagged for the Ohio State job.
Interesting.
I think they want Vrabel. And, of course, he played there.
Not open.
But it's not yet. But I think when it is, I think
would they just come out and fire Ryan Day right now and hire Vrabel?
They probably should, but I don't know if they will. But I think that's where he's going. And so he may, if he knows that or that's what he wants to do, maybe he just sits out a couple of years just to wait to see what happens, right?
Yeah.
Rather than taking a job now and then having to go back and resign in a couple of years, if that's what he wants to do when that job comes open. But that's where I think Vrabel is going to be.
I just don't think in the current climate of college football, you want any part of that. It's utter chaos. It's utter chaos.
It is.
And we talked at the top of the show about Florida State and this NIL sanctions. They get sanctioned for doing what literally everybody is doing. I mean, there is no when the NCAA came out last year and was like, this NIL deal is, this is contrary to NCAA rules where boosters cannot pay the players. These have to be name, image, and likeness deals. And
right.
That's not the way this is going down. We're putting it through a collective. The collective is then asking these kids to do things in the name, image, and likeness, and that's how they're skirting it. And I guess more than anything, in the state of Florida, originally their law was the coaches and the university could not be directly involved with the collective, but that has since been changed. So, best of my knowledge, it was changed. They were certainly putting the legislations through a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago. So I'm guessing it went through. But this is what everybody is doing across college football. There's no rules, and to pick out one school, and that just happens to be Stan Wilcox, our ex-AD, who was left in disgrace. It just seems weird. So if I don't know why I would go back to college football. Everybody's leaving college football, which I want to get to the Nick Saban interview, which I think is fascinating, why he left. So I don't see that. And he's going to have his pick of jobs, and there's a lot of jobs open.
And see, I don't understand that. I'll
just appeal. You don't see the appeal with Vrabel?
No, Vrabel went 41-24. What, his first 4 seasons?
Coach of the year, conference championship.
His last 2 years, he's 13-21.
Yeah, and I think this year the whole Rand Carthon thing, and and his team was going to have a shelf life because it was all based on Derrick Henry, and obviously he's going to have a shelf life.
Yeah.
So I like the way his team's played, man. They're hard nosed, they're super physical, they're very Belichickian in the discipline and don't make mistakes. It's old school. I like that.
And see, that's what I was about to bring up. We talked yesterday, JP, about the old school coaches and how they're going out of style, and that doesn't work anymore. To me, that's what Vrabel is. He's one of these old school guys, and that message is gonna get old.
Well, I think he's a younger guy with an old school style,
right?
Which is you could say it doesn't work. We say it doesn't work, and the guy just won a national championship with that.
Yeah.
In Harbaugh, and that's what he's bringing to the NFL, and everybody wants him. I think you can zig when other people are zagging. I think the league the pendulum did slide a little bit too far towards the up-tempo college wide open offenses, and now I still think in this day and age the more physical football team wins, and Vrabel's teams were more physical. So I don't know. I always say, like we said yesterday, I want a leader of men, and he strikes me as a guy that they respect. The players like, a Dan Campbell type, a D'Amico Ryans type. These are the guys that are having success. So I think Jared Mayo is in that category as well. Jared Mayo is a Belichick, and where did he play college? Who did he play for?
Tennessee.
Yeah, is it okay? So he's in the Belichick mold, obviously, an heir apparent, no nonsense guy. So I'll be interested to see how that works there in New England for sure. So I wanted to get to the Saban thing, and this is really interesting. He did not decide that he was going to retire until 3:55 before a 4:00 meeting. Listen to this quote, because right up to the end, he was. I don't want to take it out of context without reading the stuff earlier, but I kind of just gave away the punchline, right? He said, to be honest, the last season was grueling. It was a real grind for us to come from where we started to where we got to. Took a little more out of me than usual. When people mentioned the health issue, it was really just the grind of, can you do this the way you want to do it? Can you do it the way you've always done it and be able to sustain it and do it for the entire season? If I couldn't make a commitment to do that in the future the way I think I have to do it, I thought maybe this was the right time based on those two sets of circumstances. Prior to making the final decision, it was business as usual for Saban. On the day of his retirement, he conducted interviews. This is so Nick Saban, by the way, with prospective assistant coaches and went about his normal duties. But 5 minutes before a team meeting scheduled for 4 p.m., he had his moment of clarity. Quote, I think that made it more difficult for me is the thing that made it more difficult for me is I felt like it might be the right time for me, but how it impacted the players, the coaches, all the people who work here in the building and contributed to the success of the team, how would it affect them? Saban said. That was the hard part. That was the part I kept vacillating on, back and forth. It was 3:55 p.m. I was sitting in my chair looking at the clock saying, you got 5 minutes to decide which speech you're going to give. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? And then he goes out. Like, that's not the way we all thought this was going to go down with Nick Saban, right? Wow. Sitting alone in his chair going, which speech am I going to give? Am I going to do it one more time? And then I guess you just walk through the door and what do you just follow what your emotions are telling you? Anyway, see, went on. He said, I just have a high standard for how I do things. And if I don't feel like I'm living up to that standard, I'm really disappointed. I wasn't disappointed in the season. I wasn't disappointed in the team. I wasn't disappointed in the players. In fact, this team was fun to coach and they came a long ways. And I was really proud of the way everybody brought in and did what they had to do for the success we had. But at the same time, I felt like I could have done a better job if I was younger. Yeah. So, it's just a lot. It's really a lot. And at 72 years old, to have the energy to do that on a daily basis with the things that are coming at you at that level, it's got to be tough. It's got to be really, really hard. So just one of the best to do it. And I thought it was really interesting the way that whole thing went down.
That's crazy.
Isn't it? Like,
you don't expect that for somebody that long tenured, for it to come down to something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I guess they always say, when you start thinking about whether it's time or not, it's time. Right.
Oh,
it's time.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So who replaces him? We talked about this to start the show. It's been 30 minutes since I looked at Twitter. The world has changed dramatically. Right. We're in World War III in Yemen. You see the crowds that are gathering in Yemen?
Yes.
After the attacks last night? Oh, my God. War. Let's get on it. Let's have more wars. Woo, yay. We really need more wars. Don't we? Somebody's making money on that, I think. No, so Kalen DeBoer from Washington, the latest is that he canceled his radio show this morning. So that may be signing that he's headed towards Orlando. Barstool Bama just reported 26 minutes ago. It seems to be down to DeBoer and Norvell.
Well, he's not going anywhere.
Who? Norvell?
Norvell.
I don't think he is. I mean, but I'm still, until this is done. I think that he would be a great choice for Alabama, quite frankly.
Sure.
And it's a better job than Florida State right now because of the crap conference we're in. That's why we want to get out. Better facilities, more money, more prestige, but a tough ask. As soon as you get to Alabama, you sit in that chair, it's already hot.
Yeah.
And don't fool yourself. A lot of FSU fans here that look at Mike Norvell as, that's our guy. He's one of the best coaches. And I believe that. I think he just won the Bear Bryant Award, the best coach of the year. But there are a lot of people in the SEC that look down their nose at Mike Norvell. That guy from Memphis, he said FSU, what 13-0 means nothing. He didn't make the playoffs. So, I don't do we really want him? And there are a lot of people that feel that way. So as much as we think he would be a great coach there's a lot of people in Alabama, a lot of their boosters that probably say we're not reaching down to Florida State to hire that guy. No, yeah. we can do better. Right. And Kalen DeBoer is better. Okay. Well, go get him. Go get him. And as I mentioned earlier today, TJ Pittinger is going to be joining us in a little bit. And I've talked to probably 10 different people within the program. And every one of them says they feel like he's staying. Nothing is done, but they to a man. Every person said basically the same thing. And I did talk to a friend of mine who Mike Norvell knows very well, stays at his home a lot. So they're very friendly. And he said, I don't think it's likely he's going to Bama, but nothing yet. So still up in the air. So I don't,
And again, we talked about this yesterday. Do you want to be the guy that follows Nick Saban?
I don't know if that's a thing, but it's more about, and this is where I think, if I'm Norvell, I stay at Florida State. It's more about where you are, like where are you in your journey, and and what is in your heart. Who are you as a human? And I think to me, the reason Mike has had so much success is because he's authentic. And when he tells these kids that, look, we're family and we're climbing, we got to see this through. You need to see this through with me. We got to do this. You cut and run for Alabama and the money. How do you look another recruit in the eye? And I know all coaches have to do this. I get it. I know how it works. But I just think for some, it's harder to do. They're just authentic. And Mike has put his heart and soul into building this back. And he is so beloved in Tallahassee. And, it's very interesting. And I can kind of lean on my experience here because I was there in 1986. I had just taken over the anchor chair at a Tallahassee affiliate, Channel 27, 1986. Actually, that was a year before I took over. That was my first sports job. And so I was working in the sports department. And FSU was at the Birmingham Bowl. And the Alabama job was open. And Bobby Bowden's dream job, if you know anything about Coach Bowden, was Alabama. He played there, went there for 1 year, but left to go marry his high school sweetheart. And so Alabama, that was the job he always wanted. And they offered him the job. And he, on his drive back from Birmingham to Tallahassee with him and Ann, it's a very famous scene in the Bobby Bowden documentary. He just decided that, he was building something in Florida State, and it was something special, and he wanted to see it through. And it was, the players and the coaches and his staff and everybody had been loyal to him. And he felt that if he ran now, it just wasn't in his character to do so. So he stayed, and that turned out to be a great decision. And he became the all-time winningest coach in football, 3 national championships. It's, for me, the greatest college coach of all time. You can say Nick Saban, that's fine. I get it. I'm a homer when it comes to this one. Sure. I totally admit it. But he built something that was special. And it's funny that now I see Mike Norvell in a very, very similar situation, rebuilding the program, taking it back from where it was, almost on the same exact timeline as Bobby. Seeing the great potential that there is at Florida State in a tumultuous time where they're going to be moving to another conference. All that is part of it. But if he can just go back and look at, and I know he respects Coach Bowden tremendously. If he goes back and looks at that whole situation, I don't think he can shy away from the connection here. And maybe that'll have something to do with his decision when he comes out and says it. And I think it just, the mojo is right for that to me. If you go to Alabama, I get it. Better job, better facilities, all that. You can't begrudge the man. I get it. But if you stay at Florida State and you build something and continue the climb and all those things that you've talked about and you put your heart and soul into, and you looked into these guys' eyes and said, you're being true to that. You're being true to that. And that fuels you, that builds you more, right? That makes you more authentic. The other makes you just another coach chasing a paycheck, right?
And there's a lot of people that feel that's one of the things missing from college sports. Well,
absolutely,
sports is loyalty.
Absolutely, yes.
These coaches recruit some of these kids from 7th, 8th grade. They finally commit. They come to your program, and a year later, you're going to bolt for another job. Well, now we've got the transfer portal, so if you want, you can follow them. But back in the day, that was one of the biggest things. Well, how is that fair to the kid? Now the kid's stuck, But yeah, I think the Bowden situation with staying at FSU and not going to Alabama, I think that's a rarity, though. And that just shows
it was a long time ago.
Yeah, well, it shows you the kind of dude that he was, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think he and Mike are similar people. I really do. So I think it's going to be super interesting. And I think he's going to stay. And I think at this point with DeBoer's, and the fact that Mike went and got a great offensive lineman, TJ Ferguson from Alabama, and is recruiting other Alabama players, tells me he's staying and moving on. So, and it's a risk. It's a risk because they don't know how that lawsuit's going to play out. They don't know how, if FSU is going to be stuck in this crappy conference. There's a lot of powerful people working against them. So, and
it might be the only chance you get. They may not want you down the road, depending on how your career goes. So
yeah,
it's a tough decision.
Yep, absolutely. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, TJ Pittinger is going to join us from the world famous Double Fries No Slaw podcast. FSU Insider has some interesting information on the NCAA sanctions and also the new transfers, all that good stuff. So we'll talk some college football with him, who's the next Alabama coach, and then we'll finish it up with some more Rays talk as well. Stay with us. Quick break.
Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz, the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com, or call 813-485-6808. Are you tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. Yeah, it's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The Patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages, and it's home to the Tampa Gator Club and Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome at any time. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the Patio. It's also home to a great happy hour. Weekdays, get $4 White Claw vodka drinks and $4 White Claw seltzers, $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 with tons of specials and the fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have swag and ticket giveaways as well. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the Patio, and come watch football in a tropical paradise all season long. It's 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the Patio.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, we'll awaiting TJ to jump in here on our StreamYard cast here. We're brought to you by the great folks at American Mortgage Service. My good buddy Scott Fitzgerald will be going to the Bucs game on Monday night, unless it rains. Then he'll melt and he won't go. I think that's one of the reasons that maybe ticket sales are not as robust as it should right now. The forecast is for 80% chance of rain, though. Nobody wants to sit in a stadium with the rain coming down, even a playoff game, when you can watch it at home. I know.
How many home playoff games have the Buccaneers had in their history?
I think it's under 10.
Yeah,
it's under 10, like 8.
Screw the weather, dude.
I know.
Grass out there.
Yeah, fans ain't as robust as they used to be, brother. They're just not.
Build a dome.
I was just reading this article. Yeah, I know, right? I was reading this article. The Rays have their. You look at the money these other teams are spending, and it's just a joke. the Rays are going to. They got 6 of their 8 arbitration eligible players signed, and they're going to arbitration with 2 of them. Harold Ramirez made $2.2 million last year. He's in his first year of arbitration, and of course, like totally overperformed that money. So this year they offered him 3.8. He wants 4. He filed for 4.3. He totally over delivered last year for 2.2. So you're going to sit there and jack around for like $500,000, like 4.3 to 3.8. We're going to go ahead and go to arbitration over that. Jason Adams filed for $3.25 million. The Rays have offered 2.75. We can't meet at 3, boys. Or you can't even pay him 3.2 for what he did last year. It totally overperformed that contract.
Can't pay him for what he did before, JP. This is about a futures contract.
So what? Like Jason Adams was unbelievable last year. He's not worth $3.25 million. Harold Ramirez is not worth $4.3 million. Like
it's money.
It's just Stu's got to win. He's just got to win. It's not even about the money. He's got $500 million socked away, and you're going to be jacking around these guys. You're going to have one of the lowest payrolls in baseball, and you're jacking around guys for $200,000. Are you freaking kidding me? Oh, it's such a Rays thing to do. Whatever.
TJ's here if you're ready.
All right, yeah, let's bring him in. TJ Pittinger joins us here from Double Fries No Slaw Podcast. What's up, TJ? How are you, buddy?
Man, I'm good. How you doing, bud?
Well, I'm like every other FSU fan. We're sitting here on pins and needles, just waiting for I'm watching Get Up this morning, dude. I was like, this is how bad I am. My fiance is just laughing at me. So Greenberg comes on. He's like, "Oh, I got breaking news in my ear. I got breaking news. There's been we have coaching news," and I'm like, and I feel like I'm watching the playoff, reveal again, and I'm about to see the Alabama logo and just throw up again. And he's like, "Gerard Mayo is the new head coach of the Patriots." I'm like, oh,
bro, it is. It's been a hell of a 6 weeks. Am I going to say that? It's been a hell of a 6 weeks from the snub. Well, really, if you even go back further, like Jordan going down, I think in that moment, like you knew there's been good moments since then, right? You won the ACC, you beat Florida, but like you knew at that point, you probably weren't winning the national championship, like in that moment, right? Like, I mean, maybe they get in, maybe they somehow compete with the back, but like you knew national championship over. You got to play your third stringer. You win that. You get snubbed out of the playoff. Signing day doesn't go as well as you hoped. You get all kinds of national backlash for leaving the ACC. The Orange Bowl happened,
travesty.
And then now you might lose your coach. NCAA sanction, yeah, like it is. I actually feel good about Norvell. I'll not go too crazy there, but like I am not ultra worried about Norvell. I mean, obviously there's it is still Alabama, and if a couple people say no, it certainly could get dicey. But yeah, it's been a heck of a 6 weeks, man.
So just on the Norvell thing, I've canvassed, yourself and about 9-10 other insiders, people who know Mike very well, personal friends. Everybody it's like, I don't think he's leaving, but don't know yet. Like, I don't think it's likely, but we don't know. So there's a lot of that going on, which tells me he's probably not leaving, and he's just working on his contract extension and maybe some other things he wants to get done at Florida State. Good time to get all that done. You have all the leverage. So I think that's where that's headed. And plus the news that DeBoer canceled his coach's show this morning is probably good news for Florida State, right?
Yeah, I think signs are pointing to DeBoer. I've kind of been told from the start, I've got some connects at Florida State, which I think people at Florida State look at this pretty optimistically. So I think you almost have to Florida State's on the receiving end of whatever's going to happen. Like connects at Bama would be more valuable to me than a connect at Florida State. Right. And I don't really have connects at Bama. So, but people at Florida State are optimistic. They are in the midst of a contract renegotiation and they really have been for weeks anyway. And it's kind of like, well, man, wish we would have gotten that done a few weeks ago. But people at Florida State are optimistic. I've also spoken with people kind of in the agent world, maybe the national side of things, that think Mike is maybe being projected in the media a little bit higher than he really is valued. But at the same time, if one or two people start to say no, like Sarkisian's about to re-up his job, I don't think they'll go with Kiffin. If DeBoer was to say no, like how many, Dabo's already told his players he's coming back. Like how, Alabama's not going to get publicly embarrassed, like not that they're being embarrassed, but like
right.
turned down or their options are being limited. And if Norvell, I'll say this, I think he stays. I like Mike Norvell a bunch. This is not a Jimbo 2.0. If Alabama offers just about any coach you're not going to blame a coach for taking it. It just is not a great time for Florida State. Mm-mm. But my contacts feel pretty good about it right now. But I mean, it's still Alabama. It's still,
it's a better job. It's
scary.
It is what it is. Yeah. No, I agree with that. And I just kind of went on a little diatribe that, if I'm sitting in Mike Norvell's chair, I think he's got to be incredibly conflicted with everything that he's said for the past 5 years about family and climbing. And I know all coaches go through this. I get it. But it would be so inauthentic for him to just pull up stakes right now when things are, at their worst. This is not where the leaders, leave the bunker. Right. It's not where that's not. And I think he sees himself as a very authentic leader of men. It would be contrary to everything he's about in this moment to go chase a paycheck in Alabama. I saw in that regard, and I believe Mike is a very honorable man. I could be wrong, I could be totally wrong, but that's my gut feeling.
Yeah, and I don't even think like the idea around like money. I mean, Nick was making 11, Mike's making 8 right now, and being escalated even more and more and more. Like Florida State could certainly make up that difference, right? Yeah, I don't see them bringing in Norvell at like 12, like more than they were paying Nick. Like that'd be insane, right? And so Florida State's like he's on an escalating contract anyway that like I think gets him over 10 like within the next 2 or 3 years. And so maybe they move that timeline up some. I don't even think money is really, obviously I think Alabama has more resources, that for sure. But are they really bringing him in at 13 million, like 2 more than what Nick was making? Like no way you're paying that much to somebody not named Nick Saban. So I don't even really, the money doesn't worry me as much. I think that Norvell wants certain things at FSU, very robust NIL fund. I think he wants a little more money for assistants, stuff like that. Like I think he tries to take care of his guys. No, I don't think he's asking for anything unreasonable. I don't think he's like demanding the world. I think if Florida State takes care of him in the way that they want, there's some of the, hey, you're preaching build and all this climb and all this stuff. I think it ends up working out. And the money aspect doesn't worry me as much as like the shiny, it's Alabama worries me for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And the conference after what he just went through, he's got to have really good assurances that FSU is getting to. And I'm not even saying the SEC anymore, TJ. I don't think that's an option. I don't think they want Florida State. And I don't think ESPN doesn't want Florida State. Well, maybe ESPN does, but they want them on the cheap. So I think it's Fox, and I think it's the Big Ten.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I lean more Big Ten as well. Like I'd say I'm like 90% there. I think anything's possible. Like it's crazy, like right. When all this ends up getting figured out and stuff, like time heals some wounds. Money certainly heals some wounds too. So is there a small chance it could be the SEC? I mean, yes, but I'm with you. I think it's like 90%, 10% Big Ten for me. And that might even be lowballing it a little bit. You can never say never, right? It's sports. Crazy things happen. Money right. makes crazier things happen. But I'm pretty sold on Big Ten. But yeah, I mean, if you're Mike Norvell, I mean, the team who legitimately was not as good as you this year, that edged you out for a playoff spot because of their brand and their logo, is offering you a job. Like,
right. Yeah.
When you just remove the FSU fandom, when you remove like all your emotions and feelings, like just think about that, right? Like the team that just beat you out, that didn't have to do as good as you did and still beat you out. Like most of us would take that job. Like if we're just being honest with ourselves, like,
I think I don't know. I'm more of of my convictions guy,
Yeah.
And I would have to stick with, because it's not like you're in a bad spot. You're still at a phenomenal university with all the facilities, with all the opportunity. Even if you stay in the ACC, you're getting to the playoff each and every year from now on. So you're good. You're good. And you're climbing. They got plenty of money, and you're putting it on a better track. And I'm a little bit older than you, TJ. So I was actually in a newsroom when Bobby Bowden made this same decision and decided to say no to his dream job in Alabama and stay at Florida State. And that was true to who he was. that was true to who he was, and he did it because of the convictions and the loyalty that he had to Florida State, and it worked out pretty well for Coach Bowden. So, maybe Mike Norvell takes a little bit of history lesson from that. We'll see. All right, you got some information on these NCAA sanctions I want to hear. How did this whole thing go down?
Yeah, so essentially, real big picture, Florida State's offensive line coach and offensive coordinator now, Alex Atkins, took a transfer who was on a visit to an NIL meeting. Essentially just drove him to the meeting and Ubered him over there. Didn't stay for the meeting, didn't discuss funds, but literally like he's on campus for the visit.
Right.
And then as every transfer does, goes to an NIL meeting to meet with the prospective NIL company. They're negotiating. It's not like, oh, they just wanted to explain what they do. No, they're negotiating. I mean, it is what it is. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
But like
happening everywhere.
Atkins drove him to the meeting. Right. And so that is what they got Florida State for. That was Florida State's involvement. Not only can you not do that, you also can't, you couldn't cause a deal to happen. They said that a deal was caused to be happened. Obviously it didn't end up happening. Amarius Mims goes back to Georgia. When he gets back to Georgia, obviously, Georgia's trying to do anything they can to get an advantage. I'm told that their tight ends coach is likely or allegedly the one who went to the NCAA and snitched. From there, Florida State had a different NIL collective at that time, Rising Spear. Right now has the Battle's End, who is, the football collective. And I think honestly might end up being the entire college's collective, but had a different collective at the time. I'm told that allegedly folks within Rising Spear complied with the NCAA. For what reasons that was done, I'll leave you to speculate. But if you were getting pushed out and the new collective was coming in, you can kind of just guess there yourselves. But I'm told allegedly folks within Rising Spear complied, and that's why we have these penalties. Everyone is doing this. This is not anything unnormal. I mean, when you really think about like what he actually did, like just drove the kid over to the meeting.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. But
why didn't FSU fight this like Michigan did?
I think they were in a tough spot with the person that was inside of the collective, like complying and admitting to it. So what I believe happened is they had the smoking gun. And so Florida State spent I was told about this in like September. Florida State's been negotiating, but just didn't really know like what the final result would be. I believe Florida State spent the last 4 months like negotiating to like, you agree to penalties. They make them not as severe, right? Like you take a plea deal basically.
Right.
That's what I think ended up happening with Florida State here. I think
scholarships for driving a kid to a collective meeting. Come on, dude.
Dumb.
It's insane.
Why
would you agree to that?
Yeah. Well, I think the scholarships, what I've been told, the scholarships in today's NIL, you just have the NIL company pay the scholarship now. You just pay the scholarship.
Okay.
That one's not as big a deal. The 2 years probation, not a huge deal. Like they could have come down worse. I think it was Florida State kind of like, all right, we'll agree to this, but don't kill us at this point. Like make.
So how much of this is our boy Stan Wilcox at the NCAA?
He's more over like eligibility. And as much as I'd like to crap on him, I think that his involvement would be pretty like secondhand, like kind of the, hey, stick the screw. So I don't think he actually decides on any of this or like is involved with it.
But he's there.
I think it's more like
he's the one who kept Daryl Jackson from playing.
For sure.
And then they changed. 100%. And then at the end of the year, they changed the policy.
Changed the entire rule. But yeah, is there a chance that he had involvement? I mean, absolutely. I think he screwed over FSU, from inside, outside, everywhere else. So it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Wow. Great character there. Well, his legacy at FSU is just getting better and better, isn't it?
It doesn't get any better than like hiring, Taggart,
running Jimbo off,
running Daryl Jack. Or Jimbo off. Yeah. It was, if they have a Hall of Shame, I mean, they need to put that
Willie Taggart an 85% buyout.
Yeah, it was. They need to put a Hall of Shame up in the men's restroom
Christmas
and put it over top.
Hey, on the good part, Norvell's had a great week in the portal. TJ Ferguson, the big offensive lineman from Alabama, and the Oregon State defensive lineman is experienced big kid. Tell me about them. How's that going?
Yeah, pretty good. I wish it was easy to pronounce some of these names, but at the end of the day, it is just not. No, I have them phonetically. Sione Lolohea.
Okay.
Lolohea. That's not too bad. That. Oregon State transfer.
No, that just rolls off the tongue, Lolohea. Yeah.
Easy. Lolohea is not too bad. The other one, Tomiwa Durajai. I think Durajai is how you say it.
Nice.
So, I don't know. We'll see. I could be.
Yeah, how I left it to you. I didn't even attempt it. No, you did a hell of a job.
But yeah, I mean, both really productive guys, and Florida State needs to. I mean, it's the trenches. I mean, you just saw Michigan win the national championship because they beat the heck out of both Bama and TCU in the trenches. Yeah. And so, you say whatever you want about their cheating and everything else, but they do have good trenches, and so they did a good job with that. And so yeah, I think that you've got to continue to beef that up. They've got 3 transfers from Alabama right now. That's the most interesting thing to me with Norvell. They got another transfer candidate on campus right now, Roydell Williams, who I heard mixed things on. I like him as a prospect. I just don't know if he's a take right now or not, or will pop or not. But they could have up to 4 Bama kids transferring, and that'd be crazy if Norvell went the other way.
Right. That just makes zero sense. That makes zero sense.
A little bit better, but they've cleaned up in the portal. They've got one of the top classes. I think they're number 5 right now, and their average is number 2. So the only teams in front of them, Ole Miss is ahead. Like, they certainly have the best class. They've done a really good job. But the only other teams in front of them just have way more kids than they do. Florida State's average is the 2nd best in the country. And so they've really done a good job in the portal again for really the 3rd, 4th year in a row.
How do you think DJ Uiagalelei, I got that one down.
That was good. Hey.
Yeah. How do you think he fits in? I like the fit. I don't think he's going to win a Heisman Trophy, but I like the fit in this Norvell offense. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it'll be really good. I'm excited about him. Hey, don't get me back on here without Peter on here, because I want to make Peter say all these names too. But no, I think DJ will be really good. I think, honestly, like, and this may sound crazy, I think DJ makes your floor like 7 wins. Like, if every single thing goes wrong for you this year, and you lose all your rivalries, and you have some injuries, and things just don't gel, your defense stinks or whatever, I think you're winning 7 games. Worst case, like, how much would like Florida give for a worst case 7-win season? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
worst case is with the guys we got in the portal, I think is 9.
Yeah.
8 or 9.
But your ceiling is like 11, 12. Like, you could win every game on your schedule,
Absolutely.
And like, if every single break goes wrong, maybe you win 7, 8 games. But
to have an experienced kid that's played in big games and is a freaking monster. I think it's huge with what they're going to be able to put around them, getting some of these kids back. I think things look good. They get a lot of weapons.
I think it'll be really good, man. Vegas doesn't continue to build mansions out there in the desert for nothing. And they have Florida State as the 8th most likely team to win the national championship. First in the ACC, first in the state. There you go. In those two. So things happen. Vegas hasn't hit on everything, sometimes odds, but like, they expect Florida State to be really good too. Do I expect Florida State to win it all next year? Probably not. Do I expect them to compete for the ACC and then by virtue compete for the playoff? Yeah. Absolutely. I would be, as of today, and we'll see what the next 9 months look like, but as of today, I would have Florida State in the ACC championship in Charlotte. Now, I want to see what other teams look like. Do I have those as an automatic lock to win it? No, but I think they make it. I think they make the championship. And then if you win that, you're in the playoff.
Yeah, exactly. If you lose it, you're probably in the playoff with 12 teams. Maybe with the ACC, you never know. All right, TJ, tell everybody how they can get your content.
Yeah. Double Fries, no slaw everywhere. Come check us out on Twitter. It is just my name, PJ_Pittinger.
All right. Thanks, TJ. Appreciate it, man. We'll see you.
Thanks, buddy.
So an interesting day for Florida State, folks. Nothing is done yet. We still don't have an official call on the Alabama job. We still don't have an official call on Mike Norvell's extension, but we expect that to happen at some point today.
JP, you want some quick weather updates for some wild card weekend football?
Yeah, let's talk about those games real quick. Yeah.
So I'm perusing Twitter here as you and TJ are talking. And Buffalo right now, of course, you have the Bills and the Steelers Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, I still affectionately refer to it as Rich Stadium, but it is, I guess, Highmark Stadium now. Under 5 feet of snow.
5 feet of snow.
Yeah, there's pictures online, and it's just, you can't even tell it's a football stadium. It's just everything's covered. For the Chiefs-Dolphins game, which is tomorrow night,
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock Eastern time. Those of you that subscribe like me to Peacock can watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I already subscribed to it, because that's where I get to watch a lot of my IndyCar races. So
good for you.
For me, I already get it, right?
Do we get a free 7-day trial?
I don't think they do that for football. No, I think you got to just pay the $5.99 and then cancel it. Pay $6 to watch football.
Yeah.
Here's why you might want to watch it is because it is expected the wind chill for that game will be 30 below zero.
Dolphins got no shot. Zero shot.
Well, to the Chiefs, I mean, come on.
Dolphins do not play well in 30 below.
Does anyone?
No, but especially the Miami Dolphins.
I mean, that's ice bowl conditions, Cowboys Packers like we talked about earlier.
Golly, can you imagine being being outside in weather like that for 3-4 hours is
dangerous.
Dangerous. Like for the fans, for everybody. Do you cancel the game? I don't know.
They'll play.
0 degrees, 30 wind chill. Hell to the no. I certainly tickets starting at $80. You couldn't pay me to go to that game.
No, I'm out.
Yeah, and Houston, Cleveland, 4:30. That's an interesting game, but I like it. Houston's playing at home. Cleveland's got a great defense. You want to say Houston doesn't have the experience, obviously, but I'm not sure I believe in Joe Flacco.
Man, I would have said the same thing a couple weeks ago, but dude's proving me wrong, man.
Yeah, he's throwing a lot of, making some scoring touchdowns, but turnovers count a little bit more in the playoffs.
This is a good defense too that they're facing. So
yeah.
We'll see.
Buffalo, as you mentioned, Buffalo and Pittsburgh. That's 1:00 on Sunday. The Bills are hot. Pittsburgh ekes their way in. I think the Bills win that one rather easily. Your game 4:30 on Fox on Sunday. Green Bay at Dallas. Dallas at 6.5-point favorites. I just don't see how Green Bay's defense is awful. I mean, it is awful. I think Dallas scores 40 points in this game. I'll take the over in Dallas.
That's what they're averaging at home this year, by the way.
Yeah, and that's against average defenses. Against Green Bay's defense. Yeah. Detroit and the Rams, the Matthew Stafford Bowl here. This is Detroit's first home game in since 1992?
93.
Yeah. Rams have been playing some good football lately, but I just got to go with the emotion in Detroit in this one.
By the way, the last team that the Lions beat at home in the playoffs, Dallas Cowboys. That was the Cowboys' last playoff loss before they went on their run of the Super Bowls. Yeah.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. And then, of course, the Monday night capper, the scintillating game of the week, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Philadelphia Eagles.
I'm
not going to make a pick till Monday. I'm not going to make a pick till Monday, but you know where I'm leaning on this one.
I know, and Sal disagrees with you.
Yeah,
but
he likes them. He's been watching the Eagles, and I've been watching the Bucs, and we both are. I think the only reason we're picking the team we're picking is because the one we're watching is really, really bad.
Yeah,
it's a toss up, but I'm certainly pulling for the Bucs. But
especially
I think
if the weather's bad, man, that could just make for an ugly game.
Yeah, and I think if the weather's bad, that certainly favors that Eagles running game, no question. I was going to check real quick to see about any type of updates from practice today, from the media portion of practice, because Baker hasn't practiced all week. I don't see anything from Pewter Report just yet. So, yeah, we'll see. I just, that extra day is certainly going to help Baker, but it's more about what happens once he gets into the game. Could be a problem. I mentioned the Rays real quick. They had a signing last night. I'm an attempt to say this guy's name from Japan. Let me see if I can get it right here. It's actually not that bad. Naoki Uwasawa. Nice. Starting pitcher from the Japanese leagues. Got some pretty good numbers. He'll turn 30 years old. 2.96 ERA last season for Nippon. The Nippon Ham Fighters. The Ham Fighters. You got to love the Ham Fighters.
I do.
Yeah, his professional career is 3.19 ERA in 173 games. They signed him to a minor league deal. Some other teams want to get him a major league deal, but he wants to come play for the Rays because he probably knows it's the best chance for him to make a major league roster. And of course, what they've done with with pitchers is just unbelievable. So we'll see. But again, not a very exciting sign. Randy Rosarena signed his deal, $8.1 million arbitration. So
you want some breaking NFL news?
Sure.
The season's first general manager hire, as the Commanders are hiring 49ers assistant Adam Peters as their new general manager, according to Adam Schefter.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
That'll be a good affair. He's got New England ties.
TJC just told me Norvell extension signed and announced. Just happened.
Oh, okay.
I got some tailgate invitations, guys. If the weather's good, Nathan, some other guys want to try to stop by for sure. Somebody asked if we're doing a show Monday. Peter and I were going to do a pregame show. We still might. We're watching the weather. We can't do it outside if it's raining, unfortunately, guys. We were going to do it at one of the tailgates there. But at this point, not looking good. But keep your eyes on our social media. We'll announce it. We'd love for y'all to come on over and do the pregame. And if weather permitting, we'll definitely be doing a postgame as well after the game. So check that out.
You want to see a live look at Highmark Stadium in Buffalo?
Yeah, sure. Whoa, holy crap.
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah.
I mean, that's good luck playing football on that.
Yeah, really. Yeah, they're going to have a lot to get the snow out of that place to get people in, right?
Yeah, that's a short time to do it, too.
Yeah. Going San Francisco GM Adam Peters going to come, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Any other questions, comments we want to have? All right, cool. Yeah, we'll come by the tailgates if we can see you. All right. Well, that's that, folks. Thank you guys so much for joining us this the entire week. We will be coming back at you on Monday. Stay tuned for our post-game show, all that good stuff. Tim, great job, my friend. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And we will reconvene on Monday. Nick Geddes will be back, I believe, and hopefully we'll be getting ready for a post-game or a pre- and post-game show at Raymond James Stadium. No rain. We shall see. Have a great weekend, everybody.